What is up, guys, and welcome to the first official episode of Talks with Teeth. And as I mentioned in the intro, or the kind of, bring up the idea to you guys, the first topic we're going to have is kind of gamers, gaming, evolution, how things have changed. Um, in the meantime, please enjoy some were-lion hunting on my night, which is pretty much where I live at when I'm playing, when I'm online. Uh, Cobras, Gazers, Werelines, pretty much all 400 or level 400 I can do. I guess summer and winter elves, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, we'll jump right into it. I mean, this is a first episode, so it's going to be kind of a work in progress. Hopefully, as time goes on, quality improves. I pick up kind of the rhythm, train of thought for these things. But this is one I've thought about for a while, and that is kind of how gamers, how gaming has changed in general. And the main thing for me is that that kind of made me think about this is that casual gaming just doesn't really seem to exist nearly as much as it used to. When we first started gaming, when I first started gaming as a kid, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever year old, uh, games were fun and you played them strictly for fun. It was never about, min-maxing, what the best thing to do was or how the best and easiest way to beat the level or, progress in the game. It was just playing the game. Uh, Mind you, we were children, so we didn't have the same resources or thought processes that we have now in terms of, mining, min-maxing and finding out the metas or, bug finding or bug abusing. You just played the game. If it was fun, you played it a lot. If it wasn't, you played a different game. Uh, and it just seems nowadays people from kind of minute one when they start playing a game, and I mean, I'm guilty of this too. When I start playing a new game, I want to know what I have to do to maximize my game time, which I don't know if that's just because it's how I am now or because now that gaming is only a limited part of my life. Like you can squeeze in gaming when you can versus as a kid, it was just like you after school or whatever, you played games. That's what you did. I mean, I was kind of a hybrid. I live in the middle of nowhere. Please disregard this mess. So, we're out in the country here. I've got rivers, I've got woods, I've got trees to climb, I've got wild animals, I've got, we built forts. We did a lot of stuff outside, but we weren't doing that. We were inside playing, Super Nintendo, N64, Ocarina of Time. Never gets old. NES even. Like we played the old consoles as well. I didn't have a computer at the time, didn't have internet, so that was kind of what I did as a kid. But now, I mean, circling back, it just seems that most people when they start a new game, they're going to do some research on it first or ask a bunch of questions to friends or, watch guides versus just firing up a new game and, immersing yourself in playing the game. And on top of that, people are just much more likely to complain about games now. It seems like a lot of, betas or testing events or pre-release or whatever comes out, and on day one there's just like mass complaining, almost regardless, no matter if the game's good or not. There seems to be a lot of complaining, and that could just be because of the internet now that everyone is connected. So you see all the good and bad, whereas when we were younger, we didn't have the capability of understanding the good and bad of a game. So I guess that was kind of the point I wanted to lead off on was that there's definitely been a switch from playing games for the fun of it and just, kind of figuring out everything on your own versus, again, not to overuse the phrase, but min-maxing and finding out the meta and just having all the answers before you even play the game and not figuring it out yourself. And that's not for everyone. I'm just saying it seems in general that is more common now than it used to be, and that could be just me. I could have a skewed opinion on that, but that's just what I feel. So I do have my little list here on the second screen that I kind of wrote pre-video just to make sure I didn't really completely lose my train of thought because I have a lot of thoughts, but they get jumbled together and they just kind of spew out at once. So part two of this, gamers and gaming evolution. Gamers like the player base, gamers, non-gamers, people. I would say society now just has a much more addictive personality or addictive tendencies. I mean, people are spending so much times on games now that it's obviously some of it's concerning, but for a lot of us, it's it's escape. It's a place where we go to have fun, or escape our problems, or just unwind. Depends on what kind of style of games you play. If you're playing them first-person shooters, your Apex, your Fortnite, your CODs, your Halos. I mean, it's a bit of both. You go to unwind, but then you also fucking lose your shit at the game because it drives you nuts because either you're not good or you lose sometimes. So it's not as relaxing as it's meant to be anyway. But just as a whole, I think gamers are people. can't just say all gamers. People are spending so much more time on video games than they used to, and I don't know if that's because of the availability of more games or different games. Everyone's got PCs now or consoles, and it's starting at a younger age where, as a kid, even when I had my Xbox 360 or my Xbox or my 64, yes, we played a lot of games, but it didn't consume us. It wasn't what we did. Like I said, I spent a lot of time outside. I played every sport I could except for hockey. I mean, I played, and I was growing up to baseball. I was minor baseball, soccer, basketball. Ran cross country, track, badminton. Played rugby and football in high school. Uh, just kind of played everything, and then did fit games in around that. But now, even I've got younger cousins, and they do play sports, but it just seems that outside of that, it's sports or games. There's literally not much else they do. So it just seems that people are just much more willing to spend all their time on games, or spend a lot of their time on games. There's people that, I mean, when you see people's playtime and how many days they have logged in some games that have only been out for 6 months, and they've already got month logged. That's a stretch, but you get my point. And I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying these are tendencies or changes that I think are apparent. And I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone agrees with a lot of this, that you know gaming has taken over, like, majorly. And like I say, it's not a bad thing. I just think, like anything, in moderation, it's probably better. I don't think drinking or smoking marijuana, cannabis, dope, whatever you want to call it, is bad, but in moderation. I mean, when you take it to the next level, when you are abusing it per se, then yeah, that makes it bad. And I think the same kind of rings true for gaming, that it is an escape for some. It is a comfort. It is a hobby. But when it crosses that line of you are spending too much time on it, I think then yeah, it is a bad thing. I mean, now that we have this social aspect of gaming, it's not as bad, but still, in-person interactions are much different than over the internet, over a headset interactions. I mean, they are similar and they provide some of the same uh, probably benefits to people, but I think in person or physical, whatever, is just so much more important. So it's tough to kind of find the balance, because you feel like you're fulfilling your social needs by being on games, but I do think you need more outside of that than the internet. So that's that's just kind of where what I think anyway. And I mean, like I said, my thoughts are kind of always just in here, so I try and get as much out as I can. But it's funny when this stuff comes up in my head, I have conversations with myself sometimes. So I'll say points 4 months ago that I forgot to write down, and then it'll come back, and I'm like, oh shit, and then it just comes out. So yeah, I just feel like, and me personally, I'm almost like reverse uh addictive tendency. Like, I used to play games a lot more, and that could be just because I'm getting older and just the way life is. Like, I'm a very seasonal gamer. Winter, fall, spend a lot of time on games. Like, maybe not too much, definitely not too much. Everyone sees my hours. It's not crazy. So, but then spring and summer, barely game, because just my lifestyle changes. I work a lot in the spring. The summer are beautiful here, so we try and take advantage of it and spend as much time outside as we can, or being social in physical, or in person, sorry. So yeah, what was my next point? Oh, yeah, this is kind of the flip side of that, is with people being addicted to games, or having addictive tendencies, or playing games so much more than they used to, and min-maxing, looking for bugs, looking for metas, looking for game-breaking mechanics that aren't actually bugs, but they just were never found by the developers. Uh, this makes it hard on developers, I think. I mean, I think it's so hard to develop a brand new game that really is a hit in any genre. Uh, I mean, old school games that remaster, or make a new iteration or a new game in the series, whatever, usually have their regular solo, or not really solo, their regular audience that's going to play it anyway, just because, whether it be nostalgia or whether it be they love the series or whatever it may be. But gaining new player bases seems to be next to impossible for like almost any genre. I mean, we've seen it. The one thing that I saw for sure with was Halo. When Halo 5, Halo 6 Infinite, Halo Infinite, I think, came out, brought a lot of old school Halo players back to the game, but not a lot of new life or new blood. And I feel like I don't really know why that is, but and we've seen it, within X amount of months, that game deteriorated to next to no player base. I mean, I'll check it up right quick right now, and just to see on Twitch. I mean, Twitch is a rough idea of a game's popularity, so that's the one I'll check out first. Oh, I gotta mute this. Ready to mute it, perfect. So let's see, Halo. There probably isn't even a couple thousand viewers. 1.3k viewers. The best streamer is Optic APG, who is a world champion, I do believe, or MLG, whatever their big event was. So he's one of the big names, followed by FaZe, Snakebite, and then number one MNK. But he's got 363 viewers. To put that into perspective, Tibia currently has probably I would say 4k viewers, 5.2. So Tibia is not a big game. I mean, it's got 15,000 people online right now, but it is not anything comparable to the Halo series. Now, Tibia kind of proves that point too, although it's not a new game, it doesn't really change too much, but no new players really play Tibia. So it's hard for Chipsoft to add, implement mechanics or game features that are going to bring new players. Now, I don't really know why that is. Obviously, if we had the answer, then we wouldn't be here. But it just seems that more often than not, a new game gets released, a lot of hype for it, but just doesn't really bring, a brand new player base to it, or doesn't hold nearly the gamers, or the population, I guess, that they used to. Like when games first came out, they were being played all around the world, and just consistently, big player bases. But now it seems like people get tired of a game very quickly. And now whether that's because of this, you know, addictive personality or addictive tendency where they play the shit out of it and it just doesn't have enough content for them, or what? We don't really know, because I think it's a problem that obviously every developer has, because no new games have really kept players to my extent, or to my knowledge. I mean, there's the outliers. A lot of indie games that are surprisingly doing well, but I mean, for me, like I kind of follow like shooters and MMORPGs, or MMOs, RPGs, whatever you want to call it. So I might have a very narrow kind of understanding of this, but it just doesn't seem like any new games really, latch on to new players and hold on to them. And back to, the min-maxing and bug finding and stuff. The other kind of example was Diablo 4 beta just released last week or 2 weeks ago. And with like on day one, people played like 12 to 14 hours. And I mean, thousands of people were playing it at this rate. And of course, they found, mechanical issues, bugs, min-maxing problems, metas, and they're just like, oh, this game's broken, this game is shit. And it's like, this game has been in development for, 6 to 8 years probably. I don't even know when did Diablo 4 start development. I could be wrong with that, so don't. Development. I don't know if it says here. Doesn't really say when it started. Development. I could be wrong with that. It could have been. It could only be a couple years. I could be completely wrong with that, but I feel like it's been 3 to 4 at least. But right away, people found kind of game-breaking mechanics or metas that were just like ridiculously OP. But I think it's so tough for a developer to be like, we're gonna have to try and create this amazing game, but try and make sure it's welcoming or engaging to a wide variety of people, while trying to keep our absolute hardcore grinders that are going to be on 10 hours a day happy. Like, how do you create enough content for that? Beyond me, like the repetitive content in Diablo style is like a thing, obviously. Holy shit, that hat's tight on my face. Jesus, look at that. I think Diablo's kind of one that can get away with it, because Diablo does have, the grindy mentality where you grind for gear and you're just you do 100 runs of the same dungeon, or you want to call it. I mean, I'm obviously not up to date in Diablo, but you know what I'm saying. So I think it's just tough for developers. They can work 5 years on a game and test it rigorously, and then grindy gamers and people that are just mechanic specialists, will say, or like people that understand game making better than game developers, which maybe that's the problem. You should have the hardcore gamers on your team. I don't know. They can find ways to break games in mere hours, days, whatever. and then you're back to the drawing board on some of your mechanics, because once this game breaking mechanic is found, it's now out there for everyone because of the internet, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. It's out there, Reddit. So you can't really hide it, and most of them now that are being found are like kind of game breaking, or maybe not game breaking, but it's like the game has no difficulty anymore then. So it's really hard for them to balance who to cater to. Do we want to bring new players to the game? Do we want to make sure we have, an engaging early game? Do we want to have an engaging mid game, or is it all going to be end game for our hardcore grinders that are going to play and that are addicted to this game or addicted to gaming, and are going to be here no matter what we do? Well, I shouldn't say no matter what, but are going to be here most likely. So that's kind of like why I feel like new games are they just don't get a fair shake, because right away people spend hours, weeks trying to break them, or finding ways to break them. Not even trying, just the fact that they're spending that much. It's tough to make a game that has thousands of hours of content, and make it feel new and refreshing. Versus, I mean, if you're in the shooters, you know what content you're getting into because there's the variation of playing against different people. But when you're in RPGs, outside of PvP, the monsters are fairly regulated, we'll say. I mean, obviously there's RNG, but for the most part, you know what you're getting into. So it's hard to kind of maintain that thousands of hour gameplay outside of your Path of Exile, Diablos, WoW, where you have the grind. And that brings us to the final point. Kind of, what are what I think, these addictive personalities or addictive tendencies, or gamers, the min-maxing meta, these people that are playing these games are looking for is just that old school nostalgic high. And I think we all know what that is. We all have our game that when we were a kid, like in your 30s, 40s, whatever, that game still is just like burned into your brain and your memory, and be like, I wish I could feel that again. And now that could just be, your kid, but there is more to it, I think. Um, Games were just simple. They were games. They were just that. They weren't something you spent all your time on trying, perfect or whatever. You wanted to progress, you wanted to beat the game and either do it again a different way or play a new game. So it wasn't this, you know, I feel like in relation to Tibia, people like me personally, like that kind of something that not burned me out, but turned me off from Tibia was you just felt like you had to log in and play X amount of hours to progress any amount. And that's because Tibia has such a wide level range, and there is content, but it does get repetitive. So for someone that doesn't quite have that addictive tendency anymore, it does lose its value or novelty sometimes. I mean, I still love Tibia. I still play it, obviously. So my glasses are crooked as fuck. They're broke. Um, so we with new games anyway, we're always searching for that high, and I don't know if we'll ever find it again, which. Okay, we're back. Sorry, I knew this was gonna die, but I don't know if we'll ever find it again, because those just your first time you played those games or played games or played those games, like it was all so new. But then you just played more and more games over the years, and it just kind of got diluted. So for me, playing your first Pokemon game, your first Legend of Zelda, like I said, Ocarina of Time, Halo 1, Halo 2, like first COD, one of the like a Stardew Valley is a game I play a lot now with the original kind of game farming sim was Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town on Game Boy. Like those, you're never gonna find that again. I think people that don't accept that will kind of drive themselves nuts, because when they play a new game, they're just like, oh, like I'm looking for the old school feelings of a new game, but like it's just not gonna happen. I don't think. I mean, we're all older now. I mean, this just obviously isn't catered towards kids, so um, I just don't think we're ever. Oh God, did I leave my? Where did I leave my Tibia character? Did he die? Oh no. Nope, perfect. This is my brain. Oh, there's Buddy. Uh, yeah, I just don't think we're ever gonna find it again, because not that I guess you can't find it again. Not that you never will. You just can't. Like that is the first games have come leaps and bounds from your 2D side scroller. Well, I'm still playing Tibia, so your 2D games to your, your 64 games that had like the, what was it, like geometric, whatever, like the first time, or 3D where like it wasn't just blocks, it was like, triangles and circles and like just new jumps and you know, new graphics, new mechanics, new possibilities, new capabilities. And now we've come to a point where like gaming has went straight up for so long, and now it's kind of plateauing because like what's next? What is going to be the next big thing? Like graphics increase? Well, I mean, some graphics are already incredible. So it's just kind of hard to see what's next for gaming and gamers because right now I think gaming is kind of stale. It's still enjoyable, but it's not making the crazy improvements it used to because I don't think it can because I feel like we've almost reached the ceiling. I'm sure we can bust through it at some point, but right now, like, I think we're there. So I think, people are just going to continue to play the shit out of games, which is good, just fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I do it. Um, but we're not going to find those, old school feelings of just like the classics that you'll never forget, grinding early Tibia with your friends when, you're level 15 at Amazon Venor Camp, free account, just using a clerical mace, like living your best life. And then when like voice chats got added to it, like these feelings are just they're not going to happen again. So I just don't think there's going to be any kind of crazy changes in gaming, but I could be wrong. Um, so yeah, guys, I think that kind of brings me to the end of what's going on in my little noodle. So I figured I'd try to throw it out there. And like I said, they're going to work some kinks out. I mean, obviously, me talking for 21 minutes, which is a while, is kind of all over the place. But over time, I'll work on, getting a better routine and better preparation and better script per se for a video. So yeah, but let me know what you guys think of this. It's kind of something I enjoy, and of course I'm gonna open up the comments to you guys. Let me know. I mean, if you watched the whole thing, thank you. Let me know what you think on my thoughts and opinions. What are your thoughts and opinions? Is there stuff I said that you're like that's dumb? Is there stuff I said that you're like, hey, I agree with that? So yeah, I just like I said, I like to open up kind of discussion and just learning different insights and opinions just to kind of broaden my understanding. So that's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully we'll have another video out in a couple days, we'll say, uh, with hunting, I think. I still got to finish my Tibia Drew Level 8 to 100 series, but I want to wait till I have some more cash money real life to buy a bunch of coins to give away. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Oh no, my mouse isn't working.